with us. He'll be here in Botanica giving us, he'll be here with us for 5 days. I want to give a quick intro about him. Formerly known as Brahmachari Uddhav Chaitanya, our Acharya Swami Sarveshananda was bestowed Sannyasa Diksha under order of pronunciation by Pujya Guru Swami Tejomayananda, head of Chinmaya Mission worldwide, on the auspicious occasion of Mahashivratri in March 2011. Inspired by Pujya Guru Swami Chinmayananda, Swami Sarveshananda joined the Vedanta course at Sandipni Sadhanalaya in Mumbai in 1993. After completing the course in 1995, he was initiated as a brahmachari and posted as a resident acharya of Chinmaya Mission Vijayawada, where he served until June 2002. Thereafter, he was appointed as a resident acharya of Chinmaya Mission in Dallas, Texas by Pujya Guruji Swami Tejomayananda. Swami Sarveshananda, also the National Director of Chinmaya Mission Yuva Kendra, which is also called as CHIK, Yuva Kendra West, the youth wing of Chinmaya Mission West. CHIK West manages CHIK chapters all across North America, including Canada and West Indies. CHIK platform aims to increase spiritual awareness among youth and young adults 18 to 35 years so that they live life purposefully with a clear and noble personal vision and an attitude of service to the community. Swami Sarveshananda was himself a CHIK while growing up in India and received direct guidance from Pujya Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda. A dynamic and engaging speaker, Swami Sarveshananda works tirelessly to spread the wisdom of Vedanta through retreats, workshops, camps, and innovative youth programs that inspire young people. Swami Sarveshananda has touched many lives through his service, dedication, and loving presence. He is popular with children and youth because of his ability to connect with the young minds. Swami Sarveshananda's weekly schedule includes conducting satsangs, study groups, Devi groups, and Bal Vihar sessions. Additionally, Swami Sarveshananda holds other events at the mission, school, colleges, and universities, such as training sessions, annual camps, seminars in universities, workshops at corporate leaderships, and the popular Bharat Yatra for children, youth, and adults. He is also frequently invited by Chinmaya Mission centers all around the country and abroad to conduct Jnana Yajnas and annual camps. In spite of demanding schedules, Swami Sarveshananda is never too busy to bring cheer to a little child, guide a restless teenager, or joke with volunteers to light up their day. Swami Sarveshananda handles his busy workload with a smile. His calm demeanor and easygoing nature puts everyone at ease. He advises, walking the spiritual path is not easy, but it's worth. An ounce of effort makes a world of difference to us and the world around us.
Let's begin with 3 Oms, Sahana Bhavatu and Guru Brahma. Is she going to sing? Are you jumping in? Try.
Hari Om everyone. Today I'll be singing one stotram of Ganesha Panchratnam. Mudakaratamodakam sada vimukti sadakam anadharavatam sakam vilastilokrakshakam anayakaikanayakam vinasitevadaityakam natashubhashunashakam namamitam vinayakam. Jaya Ganesha, Jaya Ganesha, Jaya Ganesha, Pahi Mam. Jaya Ganesha, Jaya Ganesha, Jaya Ganesha, Raksha Mam. Jaya Ganesha, Jaya Ganesha, Jaya Ganesha, Pahi Mam. Jaya Ganesha, Jaya Ganesha, Jaya Ganesha, Raksha Mam.
Thank you, Sushira. We'll start with 3 Oms, Sahana Bhavatu and invocation. So let us begin. सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः कृष्णं नारायणं वन्दे कृष्णं वन्दे व्रजप्रियं कृष्णं द्वैपायनं वन्दे कृष्णं वन्दे पृथासुतं सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय विश्वोत्पत्त्यादिहेतवे तापत्रयविनाशाय श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः यं प्रव्रजन्तमनुपेतमपेतकृत्यं द्वैपायनो विरहकातर आजुहाव पुत्रेति तन्मयतया तरवोऽभिनेदुः तं सर्वभूतहृदयं मुनिमानतोऽस्मि जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयादितरतः चार्थेष्वभिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदाय आदिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयः यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि धर्मः प्रोज्झितकैतवोऽत्र परमः निर्मत्सराणां सतां वेद्यं वास्तवमत्र वस्तु शिवदं तापत्रयोन्मूलनम् श्रीमद्भागवते महामुनिकृते किं वा परैरीश्वरः सद्यो हृद्यवरुध्यतेऽत्र कृतिभिः शुश्रूषुभिस्तक्षणात् श्रीमद्भागवते महामुनिकृते किं वा परैरीश्वरः सद्यो हृद्यवरुध्यतेऽत्र कृतिभिः शुश्रूषुभिस्तक्षणात् निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं शुकमुखादमृतद्रवसंयुतं पिबत भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकाः मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकाः Hari Om. Welcome. Before we start, if I can request all of you to pull out your cell phones and put them on vibrate or mute so that it doesn't become a disturbance for you or for the rest of us. back when I was in Dallas, we had a rule there that if the cell phone goes off, it was fine. Meaning they had to pay a fine of $25 every time that the phone would go off. So the children there were quite mischievous. They said, Swamiji, let's turn it into a fundraiser. We will note down everybody that is there and try all the numbers sitting outside. If it goes off, then we make $25. The point is that when we are trying to focus on something important, subtle, especially that which is of the spiritual nature, to gather our minds becomes difficult, and to maintain that mind in a gathered environment becomes a necessity. That is the only rule. The second aspect is, whenever there is a program which is organized especially by Indians, for Indians, we often have a very jovial way of looking at it and claiming it to be IST, with a completely different meaning for it. Not Indian Standard Time, it is Indian Stretchable Time. If the announced time is at 4 o'clock, then usually it is like 4:30 people start gathering. Somewhere around 4:45, 5 o'clock, the momentum builds up. Somewhere around 5:15, 5:30, the program actually begins. Maybe around 5:45, you will start seeing people gathering in. So the second thing is, as we will continue for the next 5 days, whether it is 1, 2, or 3 people here, we will start on time 4 and we will end on time by 5:30 sharp. Please note that we will follow the actual IST and not the convenient IST. The invocation that we chanted, it would be nice if you all can also participate. If you could give your name and number to either Lakshmi Amma or Madhavi, they will forward you the PDF that you can read from your own, whatever smart gadget that you are carrying. So we have gathered here to look into Bhagavatam. Many a novice asks, is it the same thing that which Bhagwan Krishna spoke on the battlefield? No, that is Bhagavad Gita. This is Bhagavatam. Bhagavad Gita means that which is given by Bhagavan, Bhagavata Proktam, that which is given by Bhagavan. In this particular instance, it was given to Arjuna, and that is called as Bhagavad Gita. So given by Bhagavan is Bhagavad Gita. Giving about Bhagavan is called Bhagavatam. The difference being, one is given by Bhagavan himself, the other is revolving around the focal point being Bhagavan. Anything connected to Bhagavan, anything that will take us towards that Bhagavan, that is called Bhagavatam. Now Bhagavatam comes in as a part of our Vaidika Sanatana literature the Hindu literature called the Puranas. The Sanskritam word Purana and the Hindi word Purana, though they sound pretty much same, but the meaning is entirely different. हिंदी में जब पुराना बोलते हैं तो it means old. Usually old doesn't come, it's a very rare thing when we say old is gold. Usually when we say old, that which is to a point of deterioration, to a point of, that which requires support, that which requires remodification. Whereas in Sanskritam, the word Purana means Pura api nava. That which is certainly ancient and yet that which is ever fresh, new. That which is ever green, ever fresh. In our Vaidika Sanatana Dharma, many people often jump to conclusion for various reasons. They would often compare it with, say, the other religious practices and say, Hinduism is so confusing. We don't know where it ends, where it stops. The other religions have it simple, straightforward, one day, one book, one God, done. We don't have it that way. For all practical purposes, our main grantha, main literature that we refer to, as the name very suggests, Vaidika Sanatana Dharma. Vaidika means that which is primarily born out of, sustained by the Vedic literature. Sometimes the Sanskritam word and the English synonym for it or the English translation for it may not be accurate even. For example, when we hear theistic, that who believe in, and those who do not believe in is called atheistic. Right? Those who believe in God are called theistic. Those who do not believe in God are called atheistic. Many of our kids very proudly say, I don't follow this mumbo jumbo, I am atheistic. What is the translation of theistic and atheistic in Sanskritam? An open question to all of you. Generally, we jump into the words that are available to us. That is, Astika means theistic, Nastika means atheistic. But we may be far from the truth. In Sanskritam, when we say theistic and atheistic, theistic is astika, that's how we translate it, but astika does not define the same way as theistic defines itself. Astika is that person, that individual who believes in Veda as Pramana. I'll come to that aspect of what does Pramana mean. Because again, the word Pramana in Sanskritam has an entirely different meaning. In Hindi, Pramana means something else. That individual who has the Vedic literature as Pramana is called Astika. And those who do not have the Vedic literature as their pramana are called Nastika. Within the Astika, there are those that may not invoke Bhagavān as an entity or a necessity. The very aspect of Bhagavān in who when we trust is called theistic, in who we do not trust is called atheistic in English, is not the same definition in Sanskritam, thereby in all other Indian languages. So what does Astika mean? Those who have the Vedic literature as pramana are called Astika. Those who do not take the Vedas as pramana are called Nastika. Now what does pramana mean? In Hindi, what does it mean? Proof. In the court, pramana. Pramana means proof. But in Sanskritam, there is one meaning which is called measurement. He went to the root word itself. This is good. Glad to see that somebody knows the root word there. Pramakaranam. Mane. Ma means to measure. In Telugu also you say parimanamu. Parimana means to measure. Whatever be the quantity, whatever be the standards in which we are measuring it, to be able to measure is called pariman. Prama means that which can be measured, deduced, deciphered as the valid means of knowledge. Therefore, one of the most primary mantras that we chant is Asatoma Tadgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritangamaya. That the prayer is that may we be lifted from this sense of limitation to that which is unlimited, that which has to be known. So Veda is our primary Grantha. By the time Bhagavan Vedavyas ji was around on the horizon of Bharatiya history, he saw that there was a necessity to reconsolidate the entire Vedic literature. He did not compose Vedic literature. He only compiled the Vedic literature. It was already there. All that he did was gather it together. Tell me if my question is right. How many Vedas are there? Is my question correct? Yes or no? Is wrong? Why?
Maybe Vedas, but we lost them.
Okay, so if I had not asked you the question in this format, what would your answer be? That kind of questioning itself is a confusing question. There are not 4 Vedas, there is only one Veda. Within the Vedic literature, there are 4 subcategories. See, when you say that there are 4 books, If I ask that kid, how many subjects do you have and how many books do you have to study to understand those subjects? They say 5 or 6 subjects. 10 subjects. So how many books? About 10. So they're 10 different. No, they are not different. There is only one Veda, but it has been grouped, categorized as 4 segments of Veda. Earlier, prior to Bhagavān Veda Vyasa, this literature was only given from one generation of teacher to the next generation of the student as a hearing, learning, memorizing and practicing it, then informing it to the next generation. As it was primarily heard and then communicated, this Vedic literature is also known as Shruti, that which is primarily heard. So one might say, if it is purely heard, learnt, memorized, and then passed on to the next generation, what is the guarantee that that which I have heard is absolutely retained as I heard it and then passed it on to the next generation? There is this little game that people play. Right? There is this whispering game. Right? So some call it Swedish whisper, some call it French whisper, some call it Chinese whisper, whatever be the country. Whisper is the game. You give a complicated or a simple sentence, sit in a circle, turn to your right, tell it in their ears, and that person in turn says it to the next person without discussing, without making it a big fuss. Whatever you hear, you pass it on. Supposing we are 30 people, the 30th person, when they loudly announce whatever they have heard. Have you played that? You have played it many times, right? Has it ever happened that whatever that the first person has said is the same as the last person saying it? Many times we come to realize that there is no connection to what has been said in the first and what it ends up being in the last. We see it with our own children. We tell them crystal clear, समझ में आया, जाओ करके आओ. And they will do exactly opposite to what was instructed. Our own extension of genetics. Isn't it? Now how can I trust that which was heard, remembered, retained, and then passed on to the next generation? There is quite a possibility of missing entirety of it. How can you call that as pramana of everything that has to be known? Veda, that which is supposed to be known with is the root word there. How many of you have heard of Ghanapata? Have you heard there is a Vedic literature aspect called Ghanapata? In fact, there are many family names. Those who learn Vedic literature, they are named as Ghanapati. So every mantra can be chanted in the format of Ghanapata. There is this Ganapati mantra. Ganana antva Ganapatigam havamahe kavim kavinam upamashravastamam. It goes on. How is the Ganapata? The Ganapata on that is Ganana antva Ganana Gananam tva Ganapataye. It goes on. There are 8 different formats of Ghanapata, wherein every word is chanted in a certain sequence. Is there anybody that works in computer field, software? No, I'm not going to question you in your software or hardware. Anybody? Okay, 2, 3 of you. When you're writing a program, there is a library of redundancy that you have to create so that the program is foolproof. Similarly, this Ghanapata is something which is of a redundancy which has been incorporated, having learnt which the mantra and the perfection of that mantra from one generation to the other generation does not have the opportunity to skip even a matra. Because every word is in all possible formats of its chanting, broken down to the bare minimum word. Because sometimes there is samasa, sometimes there is sandhi, all of that is broken, and they are chanted in a certain sequence, and there are 8 different sequences. Now when you chant it through that kind of redundancy and practice it, there is no possibility of that which has been heard can be changed and can be messed with to the next generation. So that also has been incorporated into the very learning process of Vedic literature. So primarily it was Shruti. So during Bhagavān Vedavyasji's time, in his grand vision, he saw it as a necessity that people are not going to have the same retention capacity. Today we talk about our children and their focal point, that you cannot retain their focus more than, how long is the reel or the shorts? 59 seconds. If anything is not communicated in that 59 seconds, they scroll. Attention span has gotten very, very small. So small that if you cannot communicate in that particular window, you've lost them. It's gone. Vedavyasji saw this, that the attention span only will start deteriorating in Kali Yuga. Something has to be done. So in his time, imagine, up until then, this knowledge was given from one generation to the other only by hearing. Here is this visionary who now has the tremendous task to convince the rest of them that we need to write this down. It's a major change in the very way of thinking about Vedic literature. So he had quite a tough resistance. And there were several schools teaching several small portions of Shakha of Vedic literature. If not on a regular basis, at least on the Raksha Bandhan day, people change their sacred thread, Yajnopavita. So while you change, you have to chant something called Pravara. Pravara means your entire lineage and where you belong to. What Vedic Shakha, how many Rishi Sampradaya, who is your ancestor, what is your lineage, all of this belonging to such so and so me, I am offering my salutations. This is the Pravara. In that you have the shakha mentioned. So many schools would focus only on that particular shakha. It was not consolidated in one place. So Bhagavan Vedavyasji had to travel all across length and breadth to gather all this which is being taught traditionally from one generation to the other in those little pockets of shakhas of various Vedic shakhas. So he gathered almost 3 portions of it. Rig, Yajus, Samaveda portions, he gathered it. What is left? When we say 4 parts of Vedic literature, Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Samaveda, Ayurveda. Okay, Atharva Veda. Just checking. Atharva Veda. Now, Atharva Veda, the first 3 which I mentioned, are between Ganga, Yamuna, and Saraswati. That triangular portion is where this knowledge was practiced. Further west of Saraswati was where Atharva Shakha was being predominantly practiced. The Atharva portion was practiced on the western side of Saraswati river. And that part of Gurukula was run by Jabala Rishi. If you check the Upanishads, many of the Upanishads come with the title Jabala Upanishad. Jabala Rishi, and it is from the Atharva Shakha. So he crosses across, reaches to his ashram, explains his effort, Vedavyasa explains his effort, and already that which he has accomplished. Rig Veda, Yajur Veda and Sama Veda have been already compiled. It is the Atharva Shakha that has to be compiled. Looking at the brilliance of this young student that has come to learn the entire Atharva Shakha, Jabala Rishi says, I am open to teach you the entire Atharva Shakha, provided you give me your Guru Dakshina right now. Usually what happens? After the entire teaching process is done, then the Guru can ask for Guru Dakshina. This was a strange request. He was very keen. Vedavyasa was very keen to compile all shakhas of Vedic literature into one written format. So he immediately jumped in and said, whatever be it, consider that my Guru Dakshina is confirmed. However tough the task may be, I will give you that Guru Dakshina. He said, I am not asking you, Jabala Rishi said, I am not going to ask you for any tough task. I have been searching for a bright, brilliant fellow for my daughter. You marry my daughter as Guru Dakshina, then I will give you the Atharva Shakha. That is how Bhagavan Vedavyasji met with Mrs. Vedavyasa. The question to you is, does anybody know who that Mrs. Vedavyasa is? Because it is tied in very, very key portion to Bhagavata as a study for us. Bhagavan Vedavyasji had to marry Jabala Rishi's daughter. Her name was Vatika Devi. Jabala Rishi's daughter. Born to them is Shuka Maharaj, who plays an important role when we come to Bhagavatam aspect. So thus he was given the opportunity to learn the entire Atharva Shakha. Then he came back, got 4 of his students who would transcribe all the mantras that he would chant. There would be a school of people that would sit, proofread the entire. When you write an official letter, there is a first draft, second draft. Then you send the third draft for a different pairs of eyes to look into it. Imagine, this is Vedic literature. There were several people that were asked to volunteer to proofread the whole thing. Then the final version of it was made to be chanted, and Veda Vyasji proofread it by hearing it himself. Thus came these compilations of all the shakhas under 4 categories within the literature called Veda. So Veda is only one. There are not multiple Vedas. There is only one Veda. Therefore, our Sanskriti is called Vaidika Sanatana Dharma and not Vedaha Sanatana Dharma. There's only one Veda. Within that umbrella, there are 4 categories. Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda and Ayurveda, Atharva Veda. Atharva. Since I have already touched upon it, let me also briefly tell you how, if ever you have an opportunity or the samskara to read through the Vedic literature, how is it laid out? Because most of us have grown up with today's modern way of the textbook layout. That there is no. How they have been written is not the format of writing it. That there is, say, physics. In physics, there is a chapter, and that chapter deals with, say, electricity or magnetic, whatever is that particular chapter, and you move from one chapter to the other. The Vedic literature is written in a little more formatted module, that come what may the time's influence, that it cannot deteriorate. So the Vedic literature deals with, supposing I take Rig Veda. In Rig Veda, there are several themes that have been covered. Each theme is called a Samhita. What a beautiful word. Hita, that which brings auspiciousness. Samhita, comprehensive auspiciousness to that individual who wants to pursue that theme of knowledge. So what is that theme called? Samhita. Within that Samhita, there are 4 sub-classifications. Vedic literature as an umbrella. The first major classification is Rig, Yajus, Sama and Atharva Veda. Within the Rig Veda, there are several themes. Each aspect of this has several themes. Rig Veda has several themes. Yajur Veda has several themes. So each theme is called Samhita, and each Samhita is further classified into 4 subcategories. Are we all on the same page? Okay. What are the 4 sub-classifications? The first portion is called mantra, The second portion is called Brahmana. The third portion is called Aranyaka. And the fourth portion is called Upanishad. Mantra, Brahmana, Aranyaka, Upanishad. Quickly to understand what does it mean. Mantra means a formula, repeating which mananat trayate, whatever is the problem, it will give you the method to come over that problem. Trayate, to get beyond the problem. Mananat trayate. While we were learning, when we were young, say algebra, a plus b whole square, it is called algebra mantra. A square plus b square plus 2ab. It's a mantra. What does Brahmana mean? It is not the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, Varna classification here. One word can have multiple meanings. Here Brahmana means to be an expert in the application of that which the mantra is pointing at. To have an expertise in the application of it. There is science, then there is applied science. The mantra is the science of it. The Brahmana portion is the application of it. And to be an expert at it. Many times, many of us are not just satisfied or happy with that which is already researched. There are some of us who are very keen-minded, who would want to further dwell deeper into research into. The further pointers given to research. The research was usually done in some secluded environment. The secluded environment was usually in the forest. Arani, the same root word for aranya. Aranya means forest. Arani, tree or wood. Trees. That which is populated with trees, not disturbed by any other human population. In that seclusion, when they sit and meditate upon that which has been pointed through the mantra, perfected through the Brahmana, when it is further researched into, those researched nuggets gathered is called Aranyaka, which is again further brought back into the human fold to find methods to apply in day-to-day life. Whatever be the theme, whatever be the focus of that theme, when you reach to the higher, subtler states of perfection in that particular theme, that experience to which you get pointed at or pointed towards is focused, and that focal point is called Upanishad. Whatever be the theme that you go into, when you grow subtle in that particular field, it should take you to that supreme ultimate. And that which is pointed through this Upanishads is about that subtler framework. And that happens to be the last segment. That happens to be the last segment of the Vedic subclassification. Therefore, that knowledge, wisdom given in that Upanishad is also known as, aka Vedanta. Vedanta. The knowledge given in Upanishads is also known as the Vedantic knowledge or wisdom. So every aspect of Veda's classification goes through Samhita, the themes. Each Samhita has 4 parts: Mantra, Brahmana, Aranyaka, Upanishad. All of this thus was compiled by Vedavyas. That itself, in today's learning process, in various Gurukulas, we still have certain Gurukulas where this Vedic knowledge is streamlined, and there are people who even today show interest to learn. Just to learn each portion of this Vedic literature. Rig Veda, then Yajur Veda has 2 portions. One is called Shukla Yajur Veda, the other one is called Krishna Yajur Veda. Shukla is the white and Krishna is the dark one. Nothing dark about the knowledge in it. That's how they have classified. Shukla Yajur Veda and Krishna Yajur Veda. Then comes Sama Veda. Then comes Atharvana Veda or Atharva Veda. So each one of these portions, I mentioned 5 portions now, where Yajur Veda has been divided into 2, takes an average of 12 to 16 years to master one portion of it. Rig Veda, about 12 to 16 years. Supposing we are the smartest around and we make it less than 12 years, average it out to say 10 years per course of Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Krishna Yajur Veda, Shukla Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, Atharva Veda. You still have to end up spend 50 years, 5 decades in just learning, memorizing that portion. Now he went around, gathered all this knowledge, compiled it, wrote it down, proofread it, had the final version of it created. That itself is a yeoman task to be done in one lifetime. After having done this, he then sits through and he says, when you look at the entire labyrinth of our historic reference, it is so in-depth intertwined. It is difficult to gather all of it in one clear sense of understanding. So what did Vedavyasji do? He took up the next big task. What was the next big task? All the Devi Devatas, gods and goddesses, he started chronicling their entire experience. And those chronicles are called Purana. Chronicles of Ganesh Bhagavān is called Ganesha Purana. Chronicles of all aspects of Devi is called Devi Purana, or Devi Bhagavat also it is called. Of Bhagavān Shiva, Shiva Purana. Skanda, Skanda means Kartikeya. Skanda Purana. You name and that particular deity or format of Devi or Devata, there is a chronological compilation of their entire historic reference chronicled is called Purana. This is the second aspect of the literature. First was the Vedic literature. The second is the Puranic literature. The third is called Itihasa. Itihasa, we have two reference of Itihasa. One is Rama of the Treta Yuga. The reason I mentioned Rama of Treta Yuga, there are several Ramas here also. No, not these Ramas, the Rama of Treta Yuga. Rama of Treta Yuga. His entire life has been captured by somebody who was his Samakalina, the one who lived during that very time frame. Last week we celebrated his Jayanti, Valmiki Jayanti. So he was the Adi Kavi that compiled the history of the Itihasa of Bhagavān Rama. It is called Ramayana. The second history, which was again composed by Bhagwan Veda Vyasa himself, it is called Mahabharata. Just a side question. How many shlokas does Ramayana have? Thank you. 24,000 shlokas in Ramayana. And in Mahabharata, we all know it has 100,000 or 1 lakh shlokas. I thought that answer would be more spontaneous than the Ramayana answer. So it is 100,000 or 1 lakh shlokas divided between 18 parvas. That is the Mahabharata. Here, please pay attention. We often hear fellow Hindus refer to the above body of literature so far mentioned and discussed as mythology and mythological characters. It is like a slap into the face of fellow Hindu. When we say mythology or mythological character, what are we implying? Many of us don't even pay attention to it. I wouldn't blame you because we have not learned any other way. That is how it has been taught, and we have not paid attention to it, and we have carried forward in that manner. But it's a high time we recognize and change our perspective to it. What is the root word of mythology? The root word of mythology is myth. Myth means what? Mythical means that which is not real, that which is made up, that which is fictitious. The mythology called Ramayana, it is not mythology. It is Itihasa. Itihasa means history. Many of us often have been told, oh, we Hindus have not maintained a good historic reference of our own past. We'll come to the third canto. You will see how timekeeping was done. Even that aspect is taught here. The shortest span of time calculated to the largest time calculated with GPS reference, longitude and latitude reference, with the time specific, time sensitive reference. When you sit down to do puja, you have to take akshata flowers in your right hand, put it in your left hand, put it on your right thigh, and the Panditji asks you to say, Mama. And you all say, Mama. And then he rattles. He pauses at that point. The thing that he is rattling is also important. But the way we have become is now the pujari also has to now impress you that this puja that I am getting for you done is ishtakamya siddhyartam, manovancha phala siddhyartam, ayuhu arogya, dhana vastu vahana kanaka ityadi siddhyartam. So that is repeated. He asks you to repeat. Why? देख लो मैं इन सब के लिए करवा रहा हूं तुमसे. So your dakshina to me should be equally good. But what we miss is the earlier portion in which the first aspect of it is the time, then the space, both of which is referred. भरतवर्षे भरतखंडे मेरोः दक्षिण दिग्भागे कृष्णा गोदावर्योः मध्य प्रदेशे पुण्य प्रदेशे. What is this? Space. Now what is the time? The time is tithi, vara, nakshatra. All of this is trying to indicate the precise point of that system. The ones who have given us that kind of precision, do you think they would fail in maintaining a history in a valid manner? See, across the globe there have been several calendars. Another aspect, and I'll move on. There have been several calendars. What is the present calendar that we follow? Gregorian calendar. Wherever be the calendar, whatever be the months that they have named it as, and after who they have named it as, immaterial of that. Have you ever wondered why a week has 7 days? And why the week, if it starts from Sunday, is followed only by Monday, then by a Tuesday, then by a Wednesday, then by a Thursday? Why that sequence? एक बार रिसर्च करके देखो. You will invariably come to the fact that this system of calculating time and measuring time goes back to our Panchanga. When I'm here next 5 days, please research into it. And if you are not able to find it, ask me on the last day, I will let you know. थोड़ा सा homework भी देना पड़ेगा ना. Are we okay with that? You will research? Then tomorrow I'll ask questions on that. The point that I'm trying to make is our ancestors were not lousy in maintaining time. Definitely not about the history. And thereby do not reduce it to be calling it as mythology, mythological characters. So one has, what should I refer to it as? The epic called Ramayana, the historical epic called Ramayana and Mahabharata. Where we can precisely date the Mahabharata time to 5,130 years ago. So these are our histories. Veda, Purana, Itihasa. Then there is a fourth work. Fourth body of work is called Smriti. The first body of work was called Shruti. The next is called Smriti. Smriti means that which reminds us suggestively to do that which is constantly geared towards absolute good, both at the individual level as well as at the macrocosmic level, at a samashti level. famous or infamous, depending on whose commentary you read. One Smriti that most of us know is Manusmriti. You have heard that, right? Manusmriti. Does anybody know any other Smriti? Once I tell you, I say, oh, that I know. The other Smriti fine. The other Smriti is Bhagavad Gita is also known as a Smriti Grantha, though it is a integral part of Itihasa of Mahabharata, because it gives us suggestive direction of leading an absolutely a positive good life. Therefore, that Grantha, that aspect of Mahabharata is also known as Smriti Grantha. Then there is Garga Samhita, there is Parashara Samhita. They all have been in the classification of the Smriti Grantha. There are several such Smriti Granthas. We have covered 4 aspects: Veda, Itihasa, Purana, and the Smriti Grantha. The Vedic literature was compiled, composed, put on a written format by Veda Vyasa. The entire Mahabharata, 100,000 shlokas, was written by Bhagavān Veda Vyasa. The entire 18 Puranas, the chronicles of various gods and goddesses, chronologically compiled, is called Purana. 18 of them. And then 18 Upapuranas, so 36 of them, was again composed by Bhagavān Veda Vyasa. Today, if we can consider ourselves as Vaidika Sanatana Dharmi, as Hindu, we have to only credit it to Bhagavān Veda Vyasa. Therefore, when we celebrate yearly the Paurnima to celebrate the Guru, whichever Sampradaya we may belong to, whether it is Shaiva, Vaishnava, Shakta, Kaumarya, Ganapatya, whether it is Advaita, Vishishtaadvaita, Dvaita, Nimbarka, Gaudiya, when I can go on various kinds of Sampradayas, traditions, all of them invariably have to stand up and offer our salutations to one person, and that happens to be Bhagavān Veda Vyasa. He is considered as the very avatar of Bhagavān Sri Mahavishnu. Vyasaya Vishnu Rupaya Vyasa Rupaya Vishnave Namo Vaibrahma Nidhaye Vasishthaya Namo Namaha. There can be several Vyasas during the history. In Vijayawada, there is a big building and it is called Vyasa building. It has got nothing to do with this Vyasa. How do we know that we are talking about this particular Vyasa? So he mentions it very subtly there. Vasishthaya, the one who is the grandson of Vasishta Mahamuni. Vasishta, then Parashara, then Vyasa. Such Vyasa, there can be only one. See, when we do our pravara or our namaskara, we talk from reference of born in such gotra, born in such kula, born to this grandparent, this father, this lineage. There can be only one reference. So such Veda Vyasa Krita, we are indebted as Bharatiya, as Hindu, to that one Mahatma, Bhagavān Veda Vyasa. Of his many works that he has created, Śrīmadbhāgavatam is also known as Mahapurana. Of the Puranas, of the works that he has created, generated, this one gets the title of being not just any one among the Puranas, but it is the grand epic that he has composed, written. There are 18,000 shlokas in this Mahapurana. These 18,000 shlokas have been divided into 12 cantos, 12 segments. Of them, the 10th canto is the most famous, most enchanting, most endearing. It deals with the entirety of Bhagavān Śrī Kṛṣṇa's Leela. 100 chapters. The 10th canto specifically deals with Bhagavān Śrī Kṛṣṇa. There are 12 segments or cantos. Skanda. Skanda means a segment. There are 12 of them. And this is talking about Bhagavān. So all his various leelas, various avataras. Let me bust open one myth that we carry. Okay, to understand that myth, let me ask few questions. What are the Dashāvataras? How many are the Dashāvataras? Let's start from there. Simple question. Dashāvataras are 10. So what does it start with? So we start with Matsya because that is how in the Stotra it is given. Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Narasimha. That's how we have memorized. But in reality, the first avatar of this Mahavishnu is Varaha Avatara. Therefore, Varaha Avatara gets the title Adi Varaha Avatara. Adi means the firstest. Then why did they put it so confusing in that stotra that it starts with Matsya? See, in Sanskrit literature, supposing we have this sentence in English which says Rama killed Ravana. You change the position of Rama killed Ravana, these interchange it. What happens to the meaning? It completely gets messed up. Because that is the limitation of the language at which we are speaking in right now. You put the same sentence in Sanskritam. Ramaha Ravanam Hanti. Meaning Rama killed Ravana. Ramaha Ravanam Hanti. Now let's change the position of these words. Ravanam Ramaha Hanti. Hanti Ramaha Ravan. You make all permutations, the meaning will not change. When you are writing a stotra or a shloka, the shloka goes through a certain meter. Meter is called a chanda. Like when you chant Vishnu Sahasranama, in the initial sankalpa that you do, we say Anushtup Chandas. Even Lalita Sahasranama, when we chant in the beginning, we say what chanda it belongs to. The reason why the chanda is mentioned is you know exactly where to stop, where to pause, where to break while you are chanting. It cannot be some random, breaking of the word. And with today's internet, the kind of meanings that it spews, sometimes horrifying, most of the time I look at it very hilariously. Like recently there was a debate on the word called Mahantam. Mahantam means great, grandeur, big, bigger, various meanings. Somebody said, Swamiji, it is a very spiritual meaning to this word Mahantam. Say, please enlighten. Mahantam means the antam of the concept of mama. Mama antam. Like, बहुत संस्कृत पढ़ा है पर ऐसा वाला संस्कृत नहीं पढ़ा मैंने. I studied, quite extensively in Sanskritam, but this kind of Sanskrit, I said, how did you make that break of the word? Where is mama in Mahantam? And the word is not Maha Antam. It is Mahan plus tam pratyaya which is added, which makes it Mahantam. Thank you for enlightening us. We are illumined. I mean, this is an existing word which has been misinterpreted to bring whatever convenient meaning. The kind of names that we have for our children these days. Why? Because it sounded good. Check. There is no possibility of the word Chalapati possible. In Andhra, you will find many of you who have been named as Chalapati. While we were studying, there was a physics book written by Chalapati Rao. The one other book was Rasnik and Halliday, the other one was Chalapati Rao. In Sanskrit, there is no word Chalapati. I said, what does this Chalapati mean? Balaji. How does it even indicate that it is that? Then they said, it is from the bigger word Venkata Chalapati. So Venkata has been removed, whatever is left, Chalapati has been adopted. The actual Sandhi Vicheda of that word should have been Venkata Achalapati. Bhudevi is called Achala Devi. Therefore, he is called Venkata Achalapati. The mountains, 7 mountains are called, the mountain itself is called Achala. Therefore, Achalapati. Then I found recently, they are not here, so I can mention the name. The name was Timira. Then why would you name your child Timira? What does Timira mean? Ignorance, darkness, absence of illumination or light, mandabuddhi. These are the various meanings of the word Timira. Ajnana timirandhasya jnananjana shalakaya. So Timira is where we want to get out of. Why would you name your own child? आपका ही बच्चा है ना? But it sounded good, so I have named. There are words, I tell you, just because they sound good need not be becoming a name. So I explained it to the parents and I said, immediately, officially change it to Tejas. Now that fellow is actually a defense pilot. Tejas, Major Tejas. Imagine Timir flying. Hilarious. The names get changed, the meaning gets changed. How the words have to be written in Sanskrit while writing in Chanda, you have to know where exactly to break it, where exactly to pause. Another fun fact. Earlier, we did not have in the Sanskritam literature comma or full stop. When you read the old handwritten talapatra, that which is written on the date palm leaf, you will not find a comma or a full stop. Then how do I know where the sentence ends? Go refer to the initial page where they would have said what chanda it has been written in, knowing which you exactly know where to stop. Vishwam Vishnurva Shatkaro Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu. You calculate, it will have 16 syllables. Second sentence will have 16 syllables. Both put together, one shloka will have 32 syllables. That which is made of 32 syllables can be broken into 4 quarters, each quarter carrying 8 syllables. That is called Anushtup Chandas. While learning our Hindi grammar or Telugu grammar or Sanskritam grammar, we mugged it up and spit it out during the exams because those were the high marks, immediate marks, and we passed through. Vyakarana, done, khatam kar dala. But it has a major purpose in understanding the literature itself. So there are Vedic Chandas and there is the modern Sanskrit Chandas. Just to give you an idea, the depth of understanding. Do you all know Gayatri Mantra? Yes? No? What is it? You are all correct, but not complete. Why? Because this is only one of the many Gayatri mantras. Tat Purushaya Vidmahe Mahadevaya Dhimahi Tanno Rudrah Prachodayat Om Ekadantaya Vidmahe Vakratundaya Dhimahi Tanno Dantih Prachodayat Om Katyayanaya Vidmahe Kanyakumari Dhimahi Tanno Durgih Prachodayat Hamsa Hamsaya Vidmahe Paramahamsaya Dhimahi Tanno Hamsa Prachodayat. What are all these? These are all Gayatri mantras. Haji? The meter is Gayatri. Therefore, all of these are referred to as Gayatri mantras. Just like how I explained what Anushtup Chandas is, 32 syllables, Gayatri Chandas has 3 parts to it. Each 1/3 has 8 syllables. Total put together is 24 syllables. Therefore, it is known as Gayatri Mantra. But popularly, what do we know? Gayatri Mantra. Om Bhur Bhuva Swah Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. That is the Gayatri Mantra. The rest of them are also called Gayatri Mantra. Every deity, god and goddess has the Gayatri Mantra. In the Mahanarayana Upanishad, there is a whole list of it. But popular belief, Gayatri Mantra, ekich. अपन को एक ही मालूम है, वही होना मांगता. The rest of them are also called Gayatri Mantra only. Why is it called Gayatri Mantra? Because it is in the meter chanda called Gayatri Chandas. That which has 24 syllables, 3 parts to it, therefore called Gayatri Mantra. So when the Matsya Kurma Varaha Narasimha shloka was being written, the arrangement of the words that have to be done has to be done according to the meter. And since wherever you place the word, the meaning does not change, therefore Matsya comes before Kurma and Varaha. But actually the first avatara is Varaha, Adi Varaha Avatara. First myth burst that it is not the Matsya Avatara. Therefore, don't go into the unnecessary idiosyncratic logic that it is matching with Darwinian theory. Whenever I hear that, I feel little. But that is not the chronological sequence. It doesn't start with Matsya. Now you see where we go as the flaw of, because we have not understood the sequence. If it were Matsya and whatever Darwinian theory was explaining, and I can understand. But that is not the sequence. What comes in the sequence? It is the Adi Varaha Avatara. When we come to that, I'll take up whether it is Balarama there or not. We'll discuss that as a separate topic altogether. How many avatars are there? Whether you take Balarama or Buddha, how many avatars are there? That is the second myth to burst. It is not that Bhagavān, who is Sarva Shaktiman, Sarva Vyapaka, Sarvagnya, which means he has all capacity, all strength, all knowledge, all pervasive, is limited by the sanctified number 10. And said, my Bhagavān takes only 10 avatars. That becomes his limitation. In the very first canto of Bhagavatam, there is a whole list of 29 avatars, and there Vedavyasji puts etc. Ityadinaha. Ityadinaha means और बाकी सारे etc. So when I talk to the kids, this is how I try explaining it to the kids. Who is the greatest movie director? Steven Spielberg. Thank you. How many movies would he have directed, produced, and managed in his lifetime so far? He's still active in that field, he's still producing, he's still directing. But so far, how many has he produced? Close to about 95 movies, wherein a majority of them he has produced. Next major chunk is that which he has directed. So when you talk of his lifetime achievement, you don't enumerate all 95. What do? Top 10 blockbusters. Isn't that what everybody focuses on? To talk of his great achievements, what do you talk? Top 10 blockbusters. Similarly, Mahavishnu, top 10 blockbusters, starting from Adi Varaha all the way to that which is yet to be. If somebody claims that the Kalki Avatara is already, no, this is only the first quarter of, that is why when you read the Sankalpa of your puja, you have to pay attention. Kali Yuge, Prathame Pade, Kali Yuga has 432,000, 4,32,000 saal. Of that Prathama Pada, first quarter, 1,08,000 years. Of that, 5,130 years of Kali Yuga has just passed. We are in the baby steps of Kali Yuga. When does the Kalki Avatara take place? In the Chaturtha Pada, in Orissa, Sambala Grame. That is also given. Future is also given, where he is going to be born. So I jovially tell, no Baba, Kalki Avatara has not yet taken place. That is the reason why he is called Kalki Avatara, not Ajki. So all these avatars in all detail and grandeur, that which explains it, is this Bhagavata. So where did it all begin? How did it all begin? How does this Bhagavatam begin? That we will see tomorrow. As I promised, 4 o'clock, start. 5:30, start. I will not retain you before or after that. So please be on time and we will maintain that. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. See you all tomorrow. And